Yeah, in Florida.
And have you ever spoken to anybody in South Africa before?
Just my sister and my brother-in-law.
Okay, great. Only 2 months after the death of Bon Scott, what was it like to step in and sing for acdc?
The boys were pretty good about it. They realized they had a bit of a situation on their hands, and they protected us. They gathered round us, and they knew I'd be in for all kinds of media shots and stuff. So it was pretty good. The band's more of a family than a rock and roll band, as we know it. And it's they just looked after us, and they just said, "Listen, pal, you gotta, if you can take criticism, you'll do well." So we just got in, did Back in Black, and we did it in about 6 or 7 weeks. It happened so fast. I didn't really have much time to think about it.
Well, that album did very well, #1 in the UK, #4 in the States after you joined. You must have felt good about that.
I didn't feel too bad at all, actually. I got a bit of a surprise. When you do things like that, you just you spend a few sleepless nights wondering if it's gonna cut the custard. If it's gonna be good or bad. But it really worked out well.
You've been with acdc now for what, about 15 years or so?
50, geez,
Sure. Feels like yesterday. Now,
yeah, I know.
How have you managed to keep the inspiration and passion going for so long as a rock band and a unit?
I think the main core of it comes from Malcolm and Angus, and although we all love rock and roll, I think those two guys, they were surrounded. There were 7 brothers in that family. One of them was George Young, who did Friday on My Mind, and the other one was Alex Young, who was in Grapefruit, and they all played instruments, and since they were kids, all they heard was sort of old blues records, and they sort of passed it on to us. And when you're around that kind of enthusiasm, you cannot help but get off on it, and even, when we're just jamming, in between rehearsals and all that, you can tell it's just, it's more like a bunch of friends rather than a band, and when, we sort of get off on that kind of music, and, it's exciting, it's good time music, it doesn't have a message to it, and it just makes you enjoy yourself, and the passion keeps going,
Yeah. Your first studio album in 5 years, Ballbreaker, is taking the world by storm. Why the long break, Brian?
Well, to us it didn't seem like a break at all. We sort of did that last studio album,
yeah,
Razor's Edge, and then we went on tour for a couple of years, and we had a couple of months off, and then we had to go in and remix we had lots and lots of tapes for the live album.
Mm-hmm.
So, went to the studios, and then we mixed it, and we had a lot of video footage to mix with that. And then we finished that, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger asked us to do some music for his movie. And we went up and we did that, made a video for that. And then we started last summer, just sort of little rehearsals for this one. So really, we never actually weren't with the band, but it's, I think people keep forgetting about the live album.
Yeah.
It was there, so we've been busy.
And I read in some, I think it was Kerrang magazine, while you were in L.A., you used to hang out at some of the live gigs and jam with some of the bands in L.A., is that true?
Well, we used to go down and see some of the bands, on a Friday, Saturday night. There was one particular band that I thought were fabulous, which were a carbon copy of the old Beatles,
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, I couldn't believe how much they looked like them, and they sang good as well. So we used to go down and have a sing-along and just like a bunch of yahoos down at the pub. What a good time, just to take the pressure of the recording off me,
Don't forget, tomorrow night, Derek Richardson will be doing my show, and Derek will be giving away that Gibson guitar valued at 10,500 rand. Also a whole pile of CDs and things to give away tomorrow night, autographed by Angus Young, that guitar. Time now for the competition before we get back to the interview. What is the title of the brand new acdc album? 2 brand new CDs up for grabs. Call me, 08911000505. Introducing the biggest success story of 95. Get ready for Silverchair. Silverchair are taking the world by storm with their breathtaking debut album.
a tot of spiced gold. Pour a cola over ice. Add a twist of lemon. Throw in some sun and waves. Now find a few good friends, and soon you'll discover that anything goes with gold. Spiced gold, the mixer-friendly fusion of tropical spices and golden blended Caribbean rum.
Soundtrack, and you've also worked with him on the new album. Why did you choose him this time around?
Well, he's always been a fan of the band, you know, and he'd been asking for a few years if he could, you know, if he would, we would consider him. And we thought doing that thing for Arnold Schwarzenegger was a perfect testing ground. So, you know, he did that Big Gun song, and it worked out perfectly. And we found out he was more of a good pal than the producer. So really, he was more of a sixth ear. You know what I mean? He was like just another ear, and he's a friendly sort of lad, you know. And it just worked perfect for us.
And is there truth in the rumor that you threw him out of the studio while you were recording?
I threw him out of the studio. Oh, Rick Rubin, have you seen the size of him? No, we never threw him out of the studio. He's a big old boy, is Rick.
Yeah, I was just reading your biog, and I think Angus Young said, no ways, we didn't throw him out of the studio. I mean, he's 10 times bigger than us.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
No, poor old Rick, you know, there was a lot of rumors flying, and, you know, it wasn't fair on Rick, the poor guy, because what happened was he still hadn't finished the Chili Peppers album. And Anthony, the singer, you know, was having a lot of problems with his voice and singing, you know, and all that. And, you know, so therefore he had to keep running out during the day to try to finish the Chili Peppers off, and then he'd come back at night time and, you know, and see us and all that. So
I can imagine.
It was a pretty hectic time for him, you know.
Yeah. Brian, on the new album, was there a conscious decision to just keep on doing what you do best and have been doing for years?
Yeah, you know, we're coming under a lot of pressure from other people stating that we should go forward, you know, but we don't know how to do anything else. You know, that's all we know, and as we say, you know, people are happy listening to us and coming to the gigs doing what we're doing. Sometimes people can change just for the sake of it, you know, and it sounds bloody awful. And, you know, I think it's a compliment to say that we're doing the same stuff, because it you know, it never ages. You know, we don't want to be fashionable. You know, if we were wanted to be fashionable, you know, we'd sell clothes or something like that, you know. It's, you know, music's just to have a good time, you know, and then forget the bloody rest. No political messages, no, you know, nothing like that. Just, you know, a lot of the songs are all doom and gloom and about cutting your wrists.
And Brian, I think you sound just like the guy to come to South Africa, pub crawl with us and do a couple of concerts. How do you feel about that?
I'd love to, me son. I'd love to go down there and do some. I think it's about bloody time we did as well.
Yes, we need you.
I think that the atmosphere down there is just right for it.
It's brilliant. You've got a lot of support. Your albums are selling. We had Iron Maiden down here about a month ago or so, and they were absolutely brilliant. There's a big alternative and a metal cult following in this country, so we want you guys in Africa.
I'd love to be there, me son.
Now, tell me, Brian, the rumors in all the music magazines that acdc were going to headline the Monsters of Rock Festival at Donington. That didn't happen. And apparently that was going to be part of the farewell world tour. What happened there? Were you guys planning on throwing in the towel or not?
No. Nobody even asked us to be on that.
Oh, okay.
Because we were in the studio, and Morris Jones, the guy who puts it on, knew we were in the studio, so he didn't ask. And this is another one of those rumor central things, you know, about, you know, the band splitting up and, you know, well, you know, retiring from the scene. And I think we'll be around until we just sort of cannot do it anymore, you know. We start dropping like flies on the stage, you know. I don't think anybody's got any thoughts about packing it in yet.
5 FM. Hotter than hell and ready to rock.
Brian, let's talk about the recording of your latest video. Tell us about Angus dangling in midair on a giant demolition ball. Apparently this is the funniest thing that's ever happened to the band. I mean, tell us a bit about it.
It was, I always laugh every time we do a video. David Mallet, the producer's always got something sneaky up his sleeve for poor little Angus. You know, Angus isn't the size of two pen of the copper, you know. He's only 4'11" or something, and so I always give him the dirty jobs to do, you know.
Okay.
And this time when we walked under the set, and I went, oh, no, and there was a big crane there with a ball on, and Angus said, I've got to sit on that, haven't I? And he just said, yep. And Angus is not the bravest boy in the world when it comes to height, you know. I mean, he breaks into a sweat when he goes up the stairs. So it was pretty scary for him, you know. And of course we had to have a double to go through the glass. That was really dangerous, you know, stunt guy.
That's a great video and it's going down well in South Africa. Now, is it true that Angus Young is fed up with his schoolboy image?
No, he loves it. As Angus said himself, if he didn't have his school suit, he wouldn't be able to go on stage, you know. It's a bit like Clark Kent, and I'm really not kidding you. This is true. He's, you know, when he puts the uniform on, he just changes, man. He really changes. I've seen him ill, 100-degree temperature, dying.
Oh, dear. And
I don't know if you know Angus or you've seen him on stage or videos. I mean, he's pretty snotty. There's always things flying out of his nose or his mouth. It's pretty messy. You've got to get out of the way of it. And especially when he's got the flu. But when he sticks that uniform on, man, he's back up and fighting again. He loves it. So I don't think you'll ever see Angus Young on stage playing without that uniform.
Great, that's good news.
Never.
Now, Kerrang! Magazine have published a book through Virgin on the history of acdc. Have you read it yet?
I wouldn't believe anything. They're good guys. It's just that a little misguided, you know.
Yeah. Well, they're advertising that it's out and whatever. Now, I see Dave Mustaine, he's one of your biggest fans of Megadeth. He wrote the book's introduction.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's some good guys. I've never seen this book, so it's just, you know, I'm just talking about some of the rumours that got started by Kerrang! You know, they're very enthusiastic, but they get a little carried away sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
So you'll have to excuse me for laughing.
Anything to make a quick buck, huh? Okay.
Because, you know, we don't like books about us, usually because they're from people who've got a big lump of money in their hand from a publisher.
Yeah.
And the publisher will say, right, go out and dig some dirt. You know, and the worst thing scenario has always been about Bon. You know, we've had about 5 or 6 different guys coming up to write the life story about Bon, who's one of the sweetest guys in the world, you know. And the way they want to write it is all death and gloom and how he was on a suicide kick, you know, which just wasn't true. He loved life more than anybody, you know. So we're always pretty wary of those kind of people, you know, with a pen in the hand, you know. You've got to watch those guys.
Now, I don't know if you know about this, but a German record label is releasing cover versions of acdc songs on 7-inch vinyl and 2 CD compilations. What do you think about this? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, you know, the Europeans, they really do have a great imagination when it comes to marketing the different records. You know, I'm still a great believer in vinyl. I love vinyl. You know, I mean, it's all, you know, CDs are, it's not that they sound better, I don't think. I mean, they're doing certainly, you know, orchestras and such, but they're easier to use. That's all it is. But when you want a good, warm sound, I always like to stick vinyl on. You know? I don't know how you feel about that. I guess it's a personal thing, you know.
Yeah.
But the Germans will always be there to fill in a need, you know.
The album Ballbreaker is charting virtually in every country in the world, doing well in South Africa as well. Now, usually when an album comes out, a band goes on tour immediately, but I think, as I read in your bio, it said that you are holding back a bit so that people can get used to your songs on the new album.
Yeah, I think that's good so people get to know the songs instead of charging out there with brand new songs sometimes. It's always a good thing that people get to know them, and we're going to try it this time anyway and see how it works.
Apparently next year you're going to tour in countries you've never been before, is that right?
Yeah, well, that's what the whole idea is. That's why I'm pretty excited about getting South Africa on there. You know, we're going to like Argentina and Chile and stuff like this. You know, and well, you know, it's exciting. You know, it's always good to go somewhere that nobody's ever seen you before. you know, it makes you feel brand new again, you know.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I'm personally inviting you to my house for a big South African braai. How about that?
Oh, great. I had a braai once, New Year's Eve in 91. And with a roast pig, and I cannot remember anything after 3 o'clock. That must have been the beer that you were talking about. With his sister's house.
Yeah, great. No, well, definitely when you come to South Africa, you're going to braai at my house, and we're going to party. So,
that sounds good, Dick. Can I bring 4 friends?
Yeah, definitely. No problem.
I called acdc. Well, I'll pop down.
Listen, just don't break my house down, whatever you do. I mean...
No, never.
Have you been in touch with any promoters in South Africa?
I'm not sure. I think up in New York now they're working fervently on, furiously on for Bosnia and places like that. And I'm not a political kind of guy, but you guys have done real good. And I'd love to be down there and be part of it, you know.
Why did you call the album Ballbreaker? I've had a lot of calls from people from to the radio station. Tell us about it. Be honest about it now.
I'll be honest about it. I think we saw this, we're driving down Sunset Strip, not far from where Hugh Grant got caught.
Oh.
And there's a lot of hookers along there, and there was one, she was a big girl. And one of the guys in the back of the car just went, you know, it's what we used to see all the time. Gee, what a ball breaker that is. And, you know, but we're inferring, you know, like when you have a job, a real hard job as well, you know, like you're breaking rocks or whatever you're doing, you know, ball breaking job.
Yeah.
So that's basically the whole idea, you know. You know what I'm talking about, Barney.
Brilliant, man. Okay, Brian, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you live in South Africa.
Okay, me son. I hope I see you down there, Barney.
acdc, the songs you heard tonight, Burning Alive, Love Bomb, and Whiskey on the Rocks. I'm sure when Brian Johnson comes out here, we'll give him lots of whiskey. Oh, what a great interview. What a nice guy. Okay, me old son, he calls me up, really.